So protocol is very important because it deals with our behavior as a church and not so much as the spirituality. I think we're so far advanced when it comes to the spiritual, man. Amen. We get fed so well, and we know the mysteries of the kingdom, and we know what it takes to be saved. We know how to get new souls, and we know how to deliver people and bind and loose people from the shackles of the enemy. We know how to do those things, but when it comes to other dignitaries and other people in high positions, do we know how to carry ourselves, or do we only know how to be spiritual? So I think it's important that we make sure we complete the entire body. I think God wanted us to be complete both naturally and spiritually to make us whole. I don't think he wanted us to be overly prepared spiritually, but be underprepared naturally. He wanted a complete man because he wanted to show off his work. So this is a part of us, amen. So the first topic, and slow me down. If you have any questions, this is Tuesday night. This is an auxiliary service. So if you have any questions, you can stop me. You can raise your hand, ask questions. If I know the answer, I'll tell you what I know. If I don't, I'll get back with you. That's just the way I operate. I can't give you nothing I don't know. Amen. Praise God. So the first article that I want to deal with, I'm teaching right out of the disciple. All the information that I'm providing tonight is out of our own disciple. So if you have one, you can follow along. If you don't have it on you, you can go back and check it. If you need one, get with me. I'll show you how to get one. Amen. So all my teaching will be coming out of the disciple, so that we're on the same page. The first article I wanted to deal with is traveling. Traveling. Reason why I want to touch on this topic first is because guess what? Pastor is doing a lot of traveling, right? So he's doing a lot of moving. And now the reason why I say this is so important, not just the brotherhood, but to everyone, the men and the women, because look what happened just last weekend. He took Sister Renita and Sister Cassie. He took them with him. I know Sister Sherry is very well versed. She used to traveling with a pastor. And I must tell you this: if you travel with a pastor, you will get in trouble if you don't know protocol. He will, and he don't do it in a nasty way, but he's gonna tell you when you're wrong, because he don't, like I said, he don't want to distinguish himself from dignitaries and lose fellowship because of someone else's behavior. So he'll make sure that we're up to par. He'll bring us to the right level if he see us slipping, if he see us we're not doing things correctly, because we don't. A lot of times, there's customs. You may travel to another country and they have a different custom, and if you're not adhering to their custom, they'll find you as an offense to them. So you can be offensive to a person because you don't know how to handle yourself. So I can't go to China and think that China and the people of that descent have the same customs as the people in America. I can't go to China and pick up a fork and throw my chopsticks over my shoulder and say, I ain't using these. That's going to be offensive to them because in their custom, chopsticks. So it's my responsibility to do what before I go to China? Learn how to use some chopsticks. The onus is on me. The responsibility is on me to pick up their custom and not force them to learn my custom because I'm in their territory. So guess what? When you're in a church setting, you can't force them to be accustomed to you. You have to inconvenience yourself and learn how to be accustomed to that setting. So I'm just trying to give you all these examples to show you that this ain't far-fetched, because a lot of times when it comes to church order, everybody say, oh, I don't take all that. But in the world, they do it. Again, you can't sit next to the president eating any kind of way. You got to know your place settings. You better not be eating with the wrong fork, right? You better not be eating your salad with a spoon. You better not be cutting with the wrong. You better not be cutting with a butter knife. You're going to get kicked out. You won't get another invite, all right? And while all this social media will be on YouTube, Facebook, and everything else, a whole bunch of captions over your head picking on how the way you ate in front of the president. So traveling. When traveling with a leader, and this is any leader, when traveling with a leader, what you're going to find here when we read out in the simple, the world etiquette came from the Bible. You will learn that the majority of all etiquette, the natural etiquette, the etiquette of this world, even when it comes down to eating and the place settings, all those things came from the scripture. It happened in the Bible first. It'll derive, and a lot of the morals and the moral principles, they actually all derive and they originated in scripture. They're biblical behaviors. and America was founded on biblical principles. They left England because they wanted religious freedom. So their whole custom was what? Biblical, church-based. So when they founded America, guess what they used as their foundation for custom and etiquette? Church. So a lot of the etiquette that you get when you, even if you look at the president and when he travels and how they follow him to his right and all these things, all this stuff comes from the Bible. So etiquette derived from the Bible, especially American etiquette. So I'm just giving you a history. And a lot of this stuff ain't far-fetched when I start sharing with you. A lot of this stuff, they do it in the world, but it all came from here. We just need to get back to it. Amen. Now, when traveling with a leader, if he is in a house or a church, never remove yourself to the car unless he sends you out or has given you leave to go. I heard about your story. All right. And I want to be interactive, have personal experiences. You can raise your hand and share your experience because we want to learn from each other. Amen. We want this to be very practical. We want to use this to be, we want to interact. But why is this? Why do you think he has this? What if you can answer it if you want, you don't have to raise your hand. You can answer. Why do you think it's important whenever he's in a meeting at a church or if he's at a meeting at someone else's house, we're talking about a leader, why is it improper for you to leave that house or leave that church and go sit in the car? All right, what it is?
It gives the impression that you're ready to go and that you're rushing.
Exactly. So if I'm riding with you and we sitting at somebody's house and you just get up and leave and go get in your car and start the car, what you telling me? Come on, you about to get left. Now, if this is who you call your leader, and this go and use this for your entire life. This go with your boss. This go with your job. This go with anything. This is protocol. If you are with somebody that is what you consider, you have a superior, you have subordinates. And if you're a subordinate, I know it sounds derogatory, but just bear with me. If you're a subordinate and you're the person, and subordinate means the person that's beneath the lower person, and you have someone that's superior to you, what do you look like telling the person that's superior to you, let's go? That's just like a child telling the mama or her daddy, you done been here too long, I'm ready to go. Matter of fact, y'all will pop them because I heard it before. Mom, I'm ready. Let's go home. I'm ready to go home. And y'all say, hush, shut up. Right? Because it's improper for somebody that's a subordinate that's beneath you to tell you when to go. So you never, when you're in a meeting with a leader, you never get up and leave. You never give yourself leave. You are always, the only way that you leave is if they give you leave, meaning they give you permission. They say, oh, you know what? You can go ahead and stand outside. Because they may have to speak on something that's very important and personal. So they'll ask you to relinquish yourself. Or if you excuse yourself. And the way you do it, you do it very politely. You say, would you please excuse me? I'm going to step out for a moment. Or do you mind if I excuse myself from your conversation? So you do it very politely. And if he tell you no, you just sit back down. Because you never know why you're there. It's been situations where I've gone places with pastors and it's a compromising position. It's a person he's never met before, and it may be a young lady that's twice as young as him and dressed very provocative. And he'll have me go with them. And if what I look like, the whole purpose of me now is to be proof that nothing is going down. What if I excuse myself? What kind of mess is that? I defeat the whole purpose of being there. So there'll be some situations where you excuse yourself. You say, no, you stay right here. Because you are his protection. You're his eyes. You're his witness that nothing is going wrong. This is a crazy world. People accuse everybody of everything. So you have to understand why you're there in the first place. And a lot of times that'll help you from excusing yourself. If you know, a lot of times, if I know that's my person, I'm just going to hold my pee. I'm just going to hold it. I'm going to hold it to the next rest stop. I'm going to hold it next to the gas station. I'm just going to hold it because I know why I'm there. I can't compromise his meeting there. I can't be the downfall of his meeting. I know he's there to try to win the soul, save somebody, counsel somebody, help somebody. I can't do that. I gotta hold my place. All right. It says, I'm gonna answer the question. It says, this could be seen by others as a group that you're anxious to leave, if you are given leave to go, if it is at all possible, do not have the vehicle running. So if you do go, if he do give you leave, don't cut the car on and have the car out there humming while he inside. Now there are situations where it may be extremely hot and it's understood that you're cutting the air conditioner on, but you don't want to get in there honking the horn and got the music blasting like you got better things to do. You cool yourself down, or you find a better place to rest. So you'll go up under some shade or something. It's been some times I've done it. You just go somewhere where it's shaded. You just wait there. All right. It says, if the conversation becomes private with an individual he is speaking with, you should ask to leave at that time. So if you're inside an office with them, you're inside a church meeting, you're inside a home meeting, whatever it is. I know a lot of times y'all see me in pastor office, especially in the past, used to happen a lot. I just sit in the pastor office with them, just talking, and some of you all come knock on the door. As soon as you open your mouth, you say, "Pastor, can I talk to you?" I can, and I don't know if a lot of y'all witness. I excuse myself. As y'all coming in, I say, "Well, excuse me, Pastor." I walk out because I can already see the tone of the conversation. As soon as I can see, it don't take much to see when somebody got a problem. Now, it's another thing when your flesh want to be nosy. You just want to hear the tail end of it, the tip of it. You try to stay long enough till he tell you to go. No, get out of there. Certain situations like that, you ain't gotta wait to be relieved. You just get up and go. You just say, "Excuse me, I understand. Excuse me," and he won't even say nothing. He'll just let you go on out. You know when it's personal. You can see them chills welling up in that person's eyes. Don't be nosy and use it to your advantage and wait to be excused. Get on up and leave. That's private. Get out people's business. That's protocol, right? Because now that can be seen in the negative light, that they had to force you or tell you to get out when it's obvious that someone's coming with a personal need. Right? Now, there has been times where I've seen that, and I get up to go, and he'll say, "No, son, you stay here." Because, again, there's certain situations where he needs a witness to the accounts. Because it may be some important accusations made against someone else, and he wants someone else to witness what's being said. So if he tells you to leave, don't play this number. "Oh, no, I'm all right, Pat. No, no, y'all know when you do that sometimes when you forced to leave. "No, Pat, you fine. I'm just staying out here." No, if he tell you one time, you just stop. You stop what you're doing. You stay. Don't put him in that compromising position where he has to force you to come back and make it, because now that's going to make the person he has to deal with feel awkward, like he don't want to be there with him. So you got to think about the other person that's coming for help. Now this person feel compromised. They feel they're in a compromised position because they saying, "Okay, pastor telling him to leave. None of them act like they want to be here. Nobody want to deal with me because you over here playing this game. Oh, pastor, y'all fine. I just be out." No, you say stay, you stay. It eliminates that thought process of the person that need help. They won't even consider what's going on. All right, be considerate. All right. It says another thing. It says, if the conversation becomes private with the individual he is speaking with, you should ask to leave and dismiss yourself. Never write when you are permitted to stay in a room when a private conversation is being held. Why is this? It says never write. I mean, in this day and age, no texting, don't be on your phone, don't do any of that when a private conversation is going on. Why would you think he has that in this discipline? Because you have to pay attention and listen. That's one. Another one. Exactly. Another, and finally, this is the reason. How would you feel if I'm pouring out my life to you and you see somebody texting? You don't know if they posting this stuff on social media. You don't know if they texting this stuff to information. You got to understand, the devil going to play with your mind. So he going to take that image of them typing while you talking or writing while you talking, and the devil going to play that to the 10th degree. He going to take that and run with it. Oh, they putting all your business out right now. See, I told you shouldn't have came in here. See, so you got to understand how the devil play on people's minds. So you can't even you can't even allow it to be perceived as if you're writing down that information. You may be texting your mama about what she cooking tonight. It don't matter. She don't know. He or she don't know that. All they see is you writing something down. You got to understand the reason why they're in that office, or the reason why they having the meeting, they're probably having a life crisis. They don't understand the outside world. Everything is about them at that moment. So everything they see is going to be about their life. So they're going to tie everything into their life. So when you sitting there, everything you're doing is about them. You there for them. So when they see you writing something, you writing something there for them. You got to understand. You have to understand what people go through. So when you in there having a life crisis, in their mind, everything in their immediate surrounding is about them. So when they see a phone being text, they seeing text messages, they seeing somebody writing down, all their mind is thinking it's about them. See, you don't think logically when you're in a crisis. You just think emotionally. So you think everything has to do with you. And that's not their fault. You're the logical one. You ain't an emotional one. So you put your devices down. You put your games down. And that's insensitive too. You in here playing, what's them games they be playing now? Crush. Yeah, Crush stuff. You end up playing Crush and the later men crying their life out to the pastor, and they pouring their life out to you over here playing Crush. And solitary. That's so insensitive. So you have to understand these things. You got to understand what is it doing to the next person. These things aren't in here just for no reason. It's actually it's forcing you to be considerate. A lot of, you know what protocol is? You know what etiquette is? That's just force you to be considerate. That's consideration. It's consideration of the person next to you. That's all it is. It's forcing you to be polite and considerate. That's it. It's manners. That's it. And it says, never offer this. I think this is a little comical, but it says never offer, and it makes sense when you read this. Never offer a mint to anyone before you place one in your own mouth. Why is that? What are you telling somebody when you offer them a mint? They breath stink. Simple, right? But how do you combat that? How do you reverse that so you don't make it seem as if you're telling them their breath stink? You put one in your mouth first. Now it looks like you sharing what you have versus you offering something to help them. So if you only got one mint and your breath is stink, guess what? You suck it up and you talk to the ground. Because you don't have another mint to offer. Because you can't stick something in your mouth and don't have nothing for nobody else. That's rude. Right? Because you don't want to be talking with something jabbering in your mouth the whole time and they don't have nothing in their mouth. Right? So all about a consideration. You don't have two mints, don't put one in your mouth. All right. How mad would y'all be every time y'all put it like this? How mad y'all get when y'all riding in the car, you're in a road trip, and somebody pull out a pack of gum? And you smell that gum as soon as they open the pack, and they talk, and you say, "Oh, let me get one," and they talk about something. "Oh, I only had one." Don't y'all flip out? Don't you? You flip out because as soon as it's something about mint. It's something about that. As soon as you smell it, you want one in your mouth, and then when a person don't have one, you get frustrated. It was never yours in the first place, but you felt like you was entitled to it. So don't put it in your mouth unless you have more to give. Amen. It says a mint should not be offered before a meal because it could ruin the appetite of a person. This is logic. It should never be offered in a face-to-face conversation. You're implying something. If you offer a mint to a leader, always wait to receive the wrapper from them to be disposed. Understand that? So whenever you offer something to someone or a leader, you always wait until he unwraps in his mouth, and then you ask for the wrapper back. So you will dispose it versus you don't want to give him trash, essentially. Chewing gum is never acceptable in the presence of business decisions in professional settings. So you're never supposed to chew gum in a professional setting, period. Never supposed to. That's extremely rude to chew gum in a professional setting. Gum is recreational. That's pleasure. You don't put gum in your mouth when you're talking to business leaders and such things like that. All right. I'm just going to touch on this. I'm not going to go over this next topic about traveling because that's really pertaining to the ministers. But just for your general knowledge, whenever pastor's traveling, he's always supposed to be accompanied with 3 people whenever he's traveling. He spoke, and I'm gonna read it here. It says, "It is appropriate when the presider is going to handle official affairs that three accompany him. And it's an escort, a conveyor, and an observer. They all three walk to the right of pastor, behind him. So if this is pastor, they're gonna walk to the right of his shoulder. So they're gonna be lined up 1, 2, 3 behind him. So you have a conveyor, you have an observer, and then you have a escort. Just generally, the escort is always going to be the book toter. That's going to be the one directly behind him. He's going to be the one escorting his books, holding his books. The conveyor, the second one, I believe, and I'm just going off general knowledge, is the one that opens the doors as they enter in. So he'll always step out from the second person out, open the door, allow the other two back in, and he'll fall back in place. The observer is just that, the observer. He's the watch out person. He's making sure nothing go down. And whenever he enters a room, the other two will stand at one side of the door. The observer always stands at the hinge of the door, and he'll always knock on the door to let the presider in and introduce the presider to whoever's in the meeting. And he'll always be the one that opens the door and be the first one to see inside the office or the building or the meeting when he leaves. That goes to the men. That's something totally different. And I don't want to confuse nobody with that, and so that don't pertain to us right now. But that's actually the way we should be traveling. We actually did that. I think it was maybe a year or so ago. We was having meetings in the back, all the brothers, and we started implementing a lot of these things. And it just so happened, I think you actually, Mr. Willis, there. I didn't go. It was a funeral. It was a funeral that pastor took, and it was out of town funeral, right? I forget, was it Orlando or somewhere like that? Somewhere, I know it was an out of town funeral, and pastor brought some of the brothers. Pastor didn't know that we had been discussing this, and the brothers put this in play, and they followed pastor. They had 3 in a row, and they did, and it even details how we supposed to exit a car. They did everything to a T, and the people didn't know who they thought pastor. They didn't know who pastor was. He got so many compliments that day about how orderly his ministers was. They wanted to know what was going on. They felt as if he was the most important figure at this funeral because of the way that the ministers was conducting themselves at this event. So it really sets precedence amongst the dignitaries whenever we actually operate according to the discipline. This thing is this thing is serious. So once we, and this is, y'all been hearing pastors speaking on professionalism, things like this. That's why, and it's funny, Brother Ronnie actually had this entire layout for the entire year for the messages that would be taught for the brotherhood on Tuesday night. I think it's just amazing how God had that thing set up, that he already had this on the topic schedule at this time. At the same time, Pastor calling for professionalism. I'll show you how God worked, because I was actually with him when he was putting this thing together. It was back in December, November sometime that he put this thing together, and you can see how it was all coming together and the need for it. All right, the next week, and I won't be before you long. I only got one more section. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But the 3. Yeah, you still always want to walk behind them, but you don't have to walk in the line to his right side and all that. You ain't got to open the door for him. And yeah, he gonna take care of y'all. And it gets to the point where it should always be a minister there to accommodate y'all.
That is so important. Be seen and not heard. And never, never, if he invites you into a meeting, you never add your input.
That's very true. For the ones that didn't hear, oh, brother, I'm here, bro. I know about a whole bunch of traveling. Yeah, yeah, that is right. So I'm gonna be calling on you for some help and some experiences too, some personal experiences. That is so true. When traveling with pastor, it's best to be seen and not heard. And whenever you are invited into a meeting and there's discussion, you never give your 2 cents because they didn't call you to the meeting. They didn't call you to the meeting. It ain't about you. So for you to speak over your leader is improper. That'd be very improper if they addressing all their concerns and questions to all the leaders in the room and pastor, and you jump in front of pastor and start talking. No, pastor, it actually happened like this. You don't do that. You only speak when you're spoken to. He'll actually, what you will find out is pastor is a lot more lenient and compassionate towards the people he's with than the majority of all the leaders that I've been around. Most leaders are extremely strict to their assistants and their help. They're very strict. They don't let them say nothing. Pastor is proud of his organization. He's proud of the congregation. He's proud of the people that's around him. He thinks highly of us. So honestly, pastor, he gets a thing like he want to show us, So he'll actually open up the floor and say, "Well, Minister Tyler, what you think? What you got to say?" Because he want everybody to see how the Lord work here. He wants, if y'all really listen to pastor, everything he has to say, he wants to push us out and show how God uses us. He don't like the fact that everybody look at him as if he's the only one to produce. He wants to show everybody that this is the way that the Bible says it should be done, and everyone has the same power to do such. Of course, we don't walk in the apostleship, but y'all understand what I'm saying. He believes in delegation. He believes that he can leave something in someone's hand and they'll reproduce whatever he needs and let it flourish. So whenever he gets in a meeting, a lot of times it's best to know what the world he's going into and know what you're going to say. Always have something prepared in your mind, because he's very generous, and don't be shocked if he turn to you and say, "Well, so share what you think," and let you give your 2 cents, and then open up a whole dialogue. Now, what you don't do is take that like you don't kick the door open and just take over the conversation. You say your 2 cents, and you don't say no more. Because it's very easy. When you get stirred up, you get excited, you start telling everything that you feel and everything, and you take over the conversation, and they all just looking at you. You say what you got to say, and you step back. And if they engage in conversation with you again, you say what you got to say, and you step back. You don't. You only speak. You only just expound on those things when you've been asked to. And don't be shocked, because pastor love wisdom. He loves delegation. He loves to hear from us. So he'll literally open up the floor so you can expound. I know Darlene is now dealing with pastor on a professional level. Like, he lets you do what you got to do. He do not stand in your way. If that's your area of expertise, he's not gonna step on your toes and talk over you. He gonna let you do the explaining. That's just the way he works. That's a warning. That's very true. Do not talk unless you've been asked to. That's just proper. Suspense.
I got off work late, and I'm like, I'm gonna go my time. But I said, let me press my way. So I'm really excited about what you're teaching, and I think it needs to be, brought out to the whole church. But the whole setup of what you're teaching, I have been to different churches, like some of the other organizations, and when I first saw that, it's very structured, just like how you're saying it. A lot of other big organizations, they do that. Wagner, TD Jakes, we used to go to their conferences, and they have it exactly the way. And when I saw it, I was like, is that all necessary? Because they treat these leaders like, we would say like they are gods, but not necessarily. But when you don't understand, you really don't see the significance of it. And I just want to say I applaud. I didn't even know that wasn't that even from the disciple. I didn't get me a disciple. But and our mindset has to change in order to embrace that, because a lot of things are going to be implemented, and if we are not, open-minded, we won't see. Well, why are they going to do all that? And it is so very important. And so and even with Jesus and his disciples, so I just wanted to say that it's not really just open.
And a lot of this, and you brought a good point. A lot of this came from Jesus and his disciples, how they conducted themselves around Jesus. That was the foundation of it all. Another thing, now that you brought that up, it reminded me when traveling with a pastor, and we all know pastors like to ride, and he's not a flyer. So when you do travel with pastor, you're gonna be riding. It's very important. Pastor, actually, that's why I actually feel good when pastor leave and ride, because that's where he get his rest. He don't sleep, he get his rest. When you ever ride with pastor, it's gonna be 90% praying and reading the scriptures and writing in that tablet. When you ride with pastor, do not interrupt his prayers asking questions. That is not a Bible study. That is not a confessional. That is not where you get your counseling. That's if one thing that get up under my skin the most is when somebody, and it don't get up under my skin because I understand their zealous. They're so excited. I'm on a trip. Okay, I get to go, and they talk the whole way. They talk the whole way. Pastor, what you think? Now, Pastor, what you think about this? Now, you really think they did that back in slavery? Like, I mean, they getting it all. Like they getting it, and you have to understand that's where he's getting his strength. He's praying. He's praying. It may look like he's sleep. He ain't sleep. Just wait 10 more minutes. You're gonna hear some tongues. So that's where he gets his rest. That goes along with the meeting. When you pass a lot of times, it's good just to be quiet. That ain't the best time to be joking. That ain't the best time to be playing in the back, because you may not be talking to pastor, but you may be with the other brothers or the sisters, and y'all talking about y'all nails and hair and everything else, and just being loud. You have to control your volume. I ain't saying you got to be quiet the whole trip, but you can't get to the point where you get so excited where y'all, that kind of fun. No, it's all in moderation. You have to keep your conversation in check in tone, and you got to watch your tone so you don't get overzealous and excited where you disturb him. He can pray past the conversation. He can pray past, just talking amongst your sister and everything. But it do get some point where y'all need to hush and pray too, because y'all going on a mission. So a lot of times that's when I get my boost to increase my prayer life, and I steal and I just study in him, and I steal his prayer patterns and his prayer behavior, and I study what type of prayer he do at what certain times. That's what time I sit back and learn. Y'all understand? I can go a whole day and not say too many words and be happy. So I remember the first time I drove past. I was in Texas and I came down here to visit. And Pastor had me to drive. I think that's the time I went to. Pastor had me to drive. Brother Willie Carr. It was just me and him. We drove all the way to Atlanta, I think. And I think we also went to Georgia, Alabama, Bishop. I can't remember. I know we made a couple stops. I was only supposed to be here for a week. Pastor took me for the whole 3-4 days or something. We went for a long trip, and the whole while we didn't have no radio. He cut the radio off. No, nothing. It was silent. It was silent. And at first I thought it was kind of awkward and didn't understand, but he was praying the whole while. And I just studied. And then my next trip, I had to drive. That's when I moved from Texas to here. I had to drive all the way to Delaware. I drove from here to Delaware. It was just me and him. And the same deal. Radio, straight prayer. He praying. Of course, he talked. When he finished praying, we talked. He asked me about stuff. We just have good conversation. Talk. Then he go back into his prayer. And I just started studying his prayer habits. And I started to learn certain meetings he prayed different. And he has different intensities. Sometimes he praying in the spirit. Sometimes he's putting in requests. Actually, that's when I started learning how to pray. That's actually how I learned how to pray in the spirit, by studying him. So if you actually hush and just observe and watch, you'll learn a whole bunch to advance your own spiritual life. Just by studying his habits and his patterns and behavior. And you'll learn a whole bunch. So the best thing to do is take the advice, is just hush and learn. Use it as an opportunity to learn. And then when you go, you see the sacrifice that he makes in prayer. And then when you finally go to that meeting, you go to that church service that's in a different state, you see the hand of the Lord move, you see all these miracles and prophecy, you understand how it happened. It didn't happen by his name. It happened because the prayers that he put in before he got up there. He'll use that entire 16-hour drive just to pray before he get to that meeting just in time to preach. And altar call before, and people getting filled with the Holy Ghost, and demons getting cast out, and he prophesying, and people getting healed. All that comes through the prayer. So I say, okay, I want that too. I just studied it. Study it. Study it. Study it. You know, that's a good thing. You want to keep quiet. Rob, you anything you want to add so far?
And you need to let pastor order first, and don't try to break the bank. I made that mistake. I don't know if Sister Sherry never remember. We went to the Pink House in Savannah, and pastor ordered what, grits and shrimp. Everybody ordered that, and I ordered a pork chop sandwich or something. And so I should have ordered the same thing they ordered. So I'm the only one. I was the only oddball. So I learned from that pastor order, never order more than what he's ordered. Amen.
And let me show you. This is just not church now. I shared my wife. I gave her my etiquette book for my job. My job made me to go through an etiquette training before I got full time. Well, I was full time, but while I was in training, they gave us this booklet, everything on etiquette, everything, and they took us out to these business luncheons, business dinners. I mean, with the top executives in the company, we had to wear suits and the whole nine. That's the first time I realized what calamari was. The whole everything. It was high end, and they forced us to learn this thing by place settings and everything. And in that book, I showed her. I just got through showing her some things. She got sleepy on me though. It showed. It said, and I was telling her, you never order before the head table. Head table always orders first, and you always order anything equivalent or less to what they order. So what does that mean? If the person that's paying for the meal orders a water, you don't get sweet tea. You get a water too. If that person orders something that's $24 on the menu, you don't get the $50 steak. You get you the $20 salad too. That's just etiquette, because you have to consider they're paying. You don't know how much they got in their account. So they're only, and that's a trick for you too. Whenever you going to take people out, and if they understand etiquette, when they going, you let them know what their spending budget is by what you purchase. So you don't go and buy a steak knowing that you only got $50 in your pocket. You go and you buy you the chicken, and that's letting them know that I can order a chicken too. And now you know you got enough to cover both. So that's the way it works. So when pastor take it, and a lot of times pastor loves to treat. That's just his heart. He loves to treat people out. So he'll take you out to nice restaurants and stuff like that. When you're traveling with him, he like to pick up your tab and pay for your bill. You don't know if he gonna, and a lot of times you don't know if he gonna. A lot of times he don't tell you that he gonna pay for it to the end. Because he gonna check you. He gonna see if you gonna follow protocol, and because that's gonna determine whether you're gonna come on another trip. That's wise now. He gonna learn about you without asking him the questions. He gonna learn about you. So a lot of times he won't tell you he picking up the tab. He gonna see if you're gonna follow protocol. So when he order water, he gonna see if you're gonna order water. Because you don't ever want to put your leader to shame. Even though you got the money to order greater, you don't show that you got more money than him. So because he ordered a sandwich, you don't go and buy the steak saying, I got this. What kind of message are you showing? You're making your leader seem as if he's a subordinate. See? Only way you do that is when you announce the fact that, hey, I'm picking up the tab for the entire table. Pastor, you get what you want. And then you want to start calling shots like that, then you go ahead and get your steak. But you do that at the very beginning. But even if pastor has not announced that he's paying for the meal, you don't order anything greater than what he has. And that goes for anything. That's if you're on a business setting. That's if you're trying to get a job and they take you out to a lunch interview or a dinner interview. That happens. You never order more than the head table. That's a very good point. I'm gonna wrap up real soon because it's a lot. It's already close to 9. I'm just gonna cover this one little part. I was gonna do the titles and names of clergy, and I was gonna do the pulpit seating, but I'm just gonna push that back to the next. I'm just gonna touch on the presentation of titles, names, and clergy. I'm not even gonna go the whole thing, and then we'll just pick that up next go round. It says clergy members should always be addressed by their title, first and last name only. The purpose for calling both first and last name is to avoid someone with the same last name being confused with the person that you acknowledge. Perfect example of this is I don't want to get up and say, put your hands together, let's all stand and receive Pastor Coward. Well, guess what? At one time in these organizations, we had 2 Pastor Cowards. So which one are you acknowledging? So you always announce the first, last name so that you can give away for any confusion. So that's why you're going to say Clayton Coward, Pastor Clayton Coward. So you know that difference, that's a difference between his brother. Right? It says to show a form of special honor to those of great authority, when being presented, they should be presented by their first, middle initial, and last name, or the complete called name after the title is called. Did y'all understand why we did that in protocol? You understand what I'm saying? For person of high honor, you don't say, please stand for Bishop McLeod. You're not giving him high honor. You give him honor by calling his name. But to give high honor is to give the full name of that individual. First is the first name, middle initial, last name. The highest honor is the pronunciation of the entire name, first, middle, and last. So stand as we receive Apostle, you supposed to pause, Clayton Allen Coward. Another thing, if you give, if it's high dignitaries in the pulpit, if you acknowledge one by first, middle, and last name, you got to do it to all of them. So if you don't know everybody first, middle, and last name, guess what? You come down and you say, I give honor to C.A. Coward. And that way you know the middle, first and middle initial of everyone else in their last name. That'll avoid any dishonor to those that are behind them. All right. So the proper way to do it is the highest honor is the first name, middle initial, last name. Next is first name, middle initial, last name. Or the highest honor is the first name, middle name, last name. Next honor, first name, middle initial, last name. Next is the first and second initial, last name. Right? That's how you do it. I'm just going to read through it. It says, there should always be a 5-second delay between the title and the calling of the name. It should always be longer for those of greater authority. This is done to give preparation for one being presented. This avoids this. When you say, let us all stand and receive Apostle C.A. Coward, and he's still trying to get his books up. Let's all stand, we receive Bishop R.J. McLeod, and he's still trying to get his pad up and everything up. Bishop, you let him, and you stand back, you look at him as he gets his, and then when you see he's prepared to take steps, R.J. McLeod, and he comes up. That avoids that infamous awkward moment that we have so many times in church. That awkward silence, right? When you say somebody's name, we're going to call it the hospitality committee, and it's 5 seconds. Yeah. So you always say something in preparation so they know that it's their time, or you give them a cue before they come up to let them know that it's their time. A lot of times when I'm presiding, I get with Gerard, I know he knows next, but I'm gonna make sure he knows next. Gerard, y'all next. And he always said, I know. And anyway, if I can make contact with the hospital, I'm gonna let him know, hey, y'all next, get ready. Because I don't like delays. I like a seamless service. Let me read this. It says, if a minister has presented the speaker, he should not return to his seat, but should slowly remove himself to the left of the person of higher authority, or to the right of the person of lesser authority. Nod your head to the speaker coming and stand to the appropriate side until he assumes his position in the pulpit, at which time the presider may be seated. What this means is, right here in the pulpit, when I announce whoever it is, if it's a person of greater authority, it's his left and right side. So if it's a person of greater authority, I'm going to stand to, when I come down, I'm going to stand to his left and let him come out. Why is that? Why is left? If it's personal high, so if me introducing pastor or bringing pastor up, why do I stand to his left? What is the right? When Jesus said he's at the right hand of, the right hand represents power and authority. Your left hand represents submission and lesser authority, right? So as the lesser, as a subordinate, I stand to his left and let him proceed up. But if I'm introducing someone that's lower than me, means we had youth revival and Brother Tyler come up and preach, I'm going to stand to his right because I'm of higher authority, right? Now, and we're gonna get into the pulpit seating. That get very important. I'm gonna show you. I'm just gonna touch on it, and then we're gonna close with this pulpit seating. Even that, it's the reason why we sit. This thing is powerful. It's the reason why we sit the way we sit. The presider is always sitting to the left of pastor. Always sitting to the left. So it's always going to be to his. I mean, according to your view, it's going to be to his left. All the bishops and high authority is going to be from your view to his right. Now, from pastor's perspective, we're going to be to his right because we're his extension. The presider is supposed to be the person that goes out and do everything for him. So we're his right hand, we're his extension. But to you, the presider is the leastest person in the pulpit. So when you look at the person presider, he's to his left. But in the spiritual, the presider is his extension to make sure everything running right in the service, to make sure the atmosphere is raised. So we're his right hand. But then when you look on his right hand, you see the bishops. But when he looked, he sees the bishops to his left hand, which are a lesser authority to him. This thing is powerful. This thing is well mapped. But I just spit everywhere. I hate when I do that. Sometimes you resign this thing, you just see it. Now, excuse me. But this thing is mapped out and it's powerful once you start unveiling the mysteries and the truth behind just the simple right here. It is powerful. But anybody had any other questions? We're going to conclude next month when men's night is up. We'll finish up on the pulpit seating, recognition and acknowledgement, attire, and I think we'll also finish up with proper table manners, proper place settings, and things of that sort. And we'll also deal with the protocol and with the order of service. We'll talk about the service side specifically and how to do announcements and offering and the choir selections. All right. Anybody had any questions? No questions? All right. At this time, we can have our offering. It is the brotherhood